Hi, I'm Wes.
And I'm Shonda. And welcome to DinkLife. So, before we get started today, in case anybody was wondering what we're drinking, I am having a lovely little sour from a local brewery here in Barberton, Ohio called Magic City Brewing Company. And the name of the beer is Terraforming Tic Tac. If you're ever in the area, I strongly suggest stopping by there. It's a lovely little craft brewery, and they have all kinds of great beers and great people behind the bar.
Yeah, and amazing food too. So I'm drinking the Elysian's Space Dust. Just an IPA, nothing you can pretty much get anywhere.
So today we're on to episode 2 of our trip to Japan, where we are going to talk about the hotel we stayed at and our first night. Now, we got in fairly late. I would say it was around 4 or 5 in the afternoon.
Yeah.
And we were kind of exhausted, so we checked in, had some dinner basically, and then crashed. So we stayed at a place in Shinjuku, right downtown, called Citadines Hotel, and it's a chain throughout Japan. The room was fairly small. If you're familiar at all with Japanese hotel rooms, it wasn't big. There was just a full-size bed for both of us. Wasn't a lot of floor space, so if you have a lot of big luggage, you're gonna have a really hard time finding a place to open it and cram it in there. There also weren't any dressers. The only place to store your clothes was this tiny little closet that had like 3 hangers in it.
Yeah.
So we mostly just kept our stuff in our little packing cubes and just lived out of that.
Yeah, it was a small room. And then the bed also was kind of positioned up against the wall too, so you couldn't, I slept up against the wall.
But having said that, we had an incredible view of the city of Shinjuku, and we were literally right downtown.
Yeah, right in the middle of all of it.
I will add, however, that the bathroom was amazing. So they have these things over there called wet rooms, and the shower and the bathtub, which I could have drowned in, by the way, are all combined into one room.
Tubs.
Yeah, it's completely tiled. The whole room is tiled. So you just go in, you close the door, the bathtub is in there, the shower is separate on the wall, and you can just get the whole room wet. So that part was kind of nice because the sink is outside and it's separate, and then the toilet had its own completely separate little room. Speaking of the toilets, the toilets over there, just about everywhere, including public toilets, are amazing. They're bidet-style toilets. Most of the seats are heated, and they're amazing. I wanted one.
Yeah, even since we flew on a Japanese airline, Zip Air had bidets on the plane, too, on the toilets.
So that's very cool. If you are not used to using bidets, I strongly suggest trying it out. It's my first time ever using one, and I want to put one in the house now. So...
Also, this was our first time staying in a Japanese hotel, and they do give you quite a bit of extras, like shavers, toothbrushes, toothpaste. All that stuff was in the bathroom too.
Oh, and slippers. They do not wear shoes inside of rooms and things there, so as soon as you come in, you're expected to take off your shoes and put on a pair of slippers.
Yeah. Yep, they can give you, they either have some that you can reuse, or they give you a set of disposable ones. And also a very nice robe for after taking showers.
Correct.
Every hotel had that too.
Yep, it was lovely. And also, the doors had doorbells. So if you asked for something from the front desk, extra towels, things of that nature, there was a little doorbell on the door so that they didn't knock and disturb the entire floor. So
really nice.
Yeah, that part was really, really cool. Just some things that we don't see here in America, so we wanted to share with you sort of what to expect if you're staying in a Japanese hotel room.
One thing too is on our hotel, the price, I don't know if it was, we reserved it right when travel opened to there again, and we got the hotel for $110 a night came out to.
Which for downtown Shinjuku, I think is pretty darn amazing. So we just booked on Expedia, and we got a great price. It was worth every penny.
Yeah, we didn't have any issue booking through Expedia.
And one thing we did want to mention, and this happened at every hotel we stayed at, just in case you're a little nervous about things like this, they do copy your passport everywhere you go. They ask very nicely about it.
Yeah, they do.
But the reason we mention this is it is what it is. You have to let them make a copy of your passport. And also, you should just have your passport on you at all times. It's the only form of identification you'll have there, so keep it somewhere safe. Keep it on you.
We do keep it with us the whole time, our passports. After we checked in, we ended up going down trying to find a place that we could get some dinner at. and we found a ramen place. It was actually, we were looking around for it. It was kind of hard to find because there was no, actually it had no English for the name of the place. And it was right across the street from the hotel.
Right. And it was called?
Mitaba. Yeah, it had a little picture of a chicken with it.
And that was the only way we knew where we were going.
Yes, yeah. Other than that, the whole sign for that place, and even when you looked it up in Google, it was all in Japanese, so I have no clue what the place was called.
But the Google app did show the little chicken picture, so that's how we knew where we were going. This place is really Japanese. It's not Americanized at all. So when you walk in the door, they have this little ticket machine. And you look at the menu, they have it on the wall. And then you push the button on the wall and a little ticket pops out as to what you're ordering. You pay while you're standing there too. So it's literally like a vending machine.
Yeah.
You put your money in, you pick what you're going to eat, and then you go to the counter. Now, we didn't know this when we walked in. We stood there for a couple of minutes like idiots just looking around. Thankfully, someone was nice enough to come out from behind the counter and kind of point and show us how to work it. It didn't take long. It wasn't terribly frustrating. Just new to us.
Yeah, and just a note on the vending machines too is none of them I used while I was there had any English on them at all. But on the one for the ramen place, you basically just had to kind of look at the symbols on the board because they actually had a menu.
With pictures. And then you had to match up the Japanese symbols underneath the pictures with what was on the vending machine.
Yeah, and every place might not be this, but they also had it color-coded by broth, so all the buttons were yellow were chicken broth, all the ones that were red was like a beef broth, and I think they had one other color too for like a seafood type broth.
So once you understand what you're doing and you don't just stand there looking around helpless, it's actually fairly easy.
Yeah, it's not too bad.
No, and actually this place was so good we ended up eating there twice.
Yeah, it was really good.
I will say most of the restaurants there are fairly small according to American standards. If you've been to New York City and you've been down to some of those little underground restaurants with the, 10, 12 tables, that kind of thing, it's tiny like that. But it was delicious. It was worth waiting for.
And one thing to note too when we got it, because Shonda always likes to get kind of spicy soup, and a lot of the stuff there actually is not super, super spicy compared to like the spice levels we go to up in the United States.
Correct. I would say their spicy there is, if you're used to eating extremely spicy food, is quite mild. It's got just a little bit of kick on the end.
Yeah.
It's very tasty though. So while we're on this subject, I think this is a good time to point out that if you do not know how to use chopsticks, you need to learn before you go. You need to at least become comfortable enough with them that you can pick things up. I was mediocre when we left, and by the time I came back from Japan, I would say I was at least good.
Yeah.
Using the chopsticks. They don't offer forks. They will give you a little spoon for broth sometimes, but you cannot ask for silverware. You just don't do it.
Yep. Yeah, and this was also our first time eating in Japan, and you really don't get napkins either.
You don't, which is something that we watched about 1 million vlogs before we left, and nobody mentioned that you don't get napkins. Now, you do get like a little wet wipe. You're expected to wipe off your hands before you eat.
Yeah.
And then you set it off to the side out of the way, and there is no napkin to put in your lap. So if you're anything like me, that will throw you off a little bit. I kind of need my napkin just in case I drop things in my lap, which I'm prone to doing. But I will say they do lean over a lot and scoop the food in, and that's perfectly acceptable there.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with it.
Yep. Yeah, a lot of their bowls and plates are actually much smaller there, so you can actually kind of pick it up and just scoop in front of your face. And that's actually, fully accepted there. Also, when you're eating ramen, they actually kind of want you to slurp your soup up. So if you just they usually won't even really give you a spoon. You drink the broth right out of the bowl.
Right. And it's considered a sign to the chef that the meal is delicious.
Yeah.
So they actually encourage the slurping. So anyway, after we left there, we went and walked the Golden Guy. It was directly behind our hotel, which was really, really nice. And what it is just an old bar district that's been there for, gosh, I don't know, a very long time.
Yeah, I think it's like really old part of that town.
That is my technical history lesson. A very long time.
Yeah.
But what it is just these very tiny, I mean, I'm talking they seat 5 to 8 people. And you just all smash in around the bar, and they have little plates of food, finger foods, appetizer type things that you have with your drinks. Most of these bars in the Golden Guy District do have a cover charge, so just beware of that. On top of whatever you're gonna pay for your drinks and your food, there's a cover charge to get in the door.
Yeah, and there's a bar, it seemed like there was a themed bar for almost anything in there. We saw one that was like slasher killers. We saw a punk bar.
A troll bar.
Troll bar, yeah.
And I would also say that there were probably at least 6 or 7 different little streets with bars in them. So you should be able to find something that makes you comfortable. We decided not to stop at any of these just due to the cover charge and the fact that it was our first night and we weren't terribly comfortable there yet, but we were still in the mood for a beer.
Yes, yeah. So we were kind of just looking for a craft beer bar, which we did walk over to one, but it was packed inside. We couldn't get inside.
Correct.
The first night.
So on our way back to the hotel, we actually just happened by a place called The Hub. And it has a British flag, and it's just called The Hub.
Yeah, and when we first saw it, we were like, should we go in there? Because it didn't look like anybody was in there.
But we gave it a try anyway, just because we wanted a beer, and we were very close to the hotel.
And we ended up walking up the stairs and opened the door, and the place was insane packed inside.
It was crazy.
Yeah, and it was a younger crowd, I would say. Lots of probably more 20-year-olds.
Yeah.
But it was packed with people just drinking and having fun in there.
As an addendum to that, we did talk to a friend of ours who lived in Japan for a couple of years, and she said that place is so popular over there. It's just like a chain bar that everybody loves to hang out at. So,
yeah.
You probably aren't thinking you want to stop at a British pub in Japan, but the scene is pretty hopping.
Yeah. And you will run into them. I think we walked past one in Osaka. They're all over the place. It's almost like a chain bar there.
So anyway, that was fun. We had a couple drinks, and then we went back and crashed for the night.
Just a quick, first impressions, out of our night, in Japan. I have to say, a first night felt extremely safe walking around the city. We were even, 3 blocks away from the red light district and walked through it, not even realizing at the time. And you will see some crazy stuff there. Nobody bothered us at all, even in that area. No. I was we actually didn't see really any homeless people there, which was kind of odd. We did talk to one of our friends that lived there for a while and said they are there. But I think we just hit the perfect lucky time where the Tokyo Marathon was happening at the same time. And I don't know if they just kind of cleared up the streets a little bit just because there was a lot of people for that there.
And I will also say, staying that close to the red light district, it took yours truly, the blonde in the group, a day to realize that's even what it was. I mean, that's how well everything is sort of covered up.
Yeah.
And, you can take kids through there, and I don't think they would even know.
No, yeah. There's nothing that's really...
There's nothing to suggest.
No.
Aside from a couple of girls maybe standing outside of the establishment, but they're all fully dressed.
Yeah.
So it took me a minute, and I looked up at one point, and I just went, oh, that's where we are.
Yeah.
So... staying there didn't make me feel uncomfortable or unsafe, so if you have any reservations about it, don't. So, as always, these are just our tips and tricks. This is our itinerary. This is where we stayed. And we're just giving you the information that we have in case you want to stay at any of these places or check these places out. But as always, we just want to add, whatever you decide to do, just get out there and do it.